All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, December 18th, 2014. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules here on UCY.TV. Good morning. How is everybody doing on this kind of balmy, actually, Thursday morning? Wait, we got to do a temperature check. My little sidebar on my computer is out of system memory. So wait, we got to go to the phone. It is 9:02 a.m. and 32 degrees and overcast. It's actually kind of damp out here and very, very gray, but not too bad for December 18th in upstate New York, I gotta say. It's not snowing, it's not raining, it's not hailing, we're not buried under snow. So how can I complain? I can complain and say I still didn't get enough sleep. I'm definitely beat. Especially when there's more work to do in a day than there are hours in a day. I don't know. I try to burn the candle from both ends. And I have to tell you, it only works sometimes. So, don't ask me really where I feel like going today, because like I said, it's been really hard. And I have done nothing for the holidays yet, which begin on Wednesday, I think. And I'm in some deep doo-doo, so I need to get my butt in gear. I stayed up so late last night to get stuff done. So as soon as the show is over today, I can get my ass dressed and get out and get some stuff done. Hopefully that happens today, because, like I said, Wednesday's a holiday. The whole family will be here. So, you know what? I don't even know where to start today. I don't know what I care about. There's nothing really that's been gnawing at me, because I hate to tell you, but I've been really busy. So there's nothing that I have even really paid a lot of. There is nothing that I have paid a lot of attention to even make it worth an argument. Not sure. Do I even care? So I don't know. Shows like this aren't really fun. Over this next week, I am gonna have to figure out something to do, because I have a feeling that probably nobody's realized it's a holiday, and I will have a large majority of people come to me within the next 5 days and go, "Oh, I won't be here this week." And guess what? Last year when that happened, that meant I spent my entire holiday cutting shows so everyone else can take a holiday. So this year I might just find a recording that says the radio is broken using Frank Zappa, or maybe I'll just point to some punk rock Christmas music like I did the one year. Because I can't be doing that. For 18 to 22 hours a day, every other day of the week, I need to back off and worry about myself and my family and do what I got to do. Not be sitting here cutting shows because everyone else is taking the day off. So don't mind if you hear dead air, if you hear who the hell knows what, who cares, honestly, right? I wouldn't be going, huh, what's the matter? And then just laugh and go Jules, yay! That means maybe she's getting a shut eye. 1, not 2. All right. So now that I completely mangled the beginning of the show, and anyone who's never listened is probably going, all right, this girl has nothing to say, nor does she care. Why am I even listening? Click. Good. We got rid of all the riffraff. No, just kidding. But maybe. Like I said, I could sit here for a few minutes and just scroll headlines, because I don't really have anything to talk about. I mean, I did. I had all kinds to talk about last night when my second round, when I was drinking coffee at like 2 o'clock in the morning, posting stories until 5. But my third round, which started at 8:30, 50 8:55, which is about 10 minutes ago, and then was preceded by 2 swallows of coffee. I have not come back to life yet. I actually was considering sunglasses when I got out here. Because, oh my God, is this light bright. I think these monitors are burning my eyeballs. Oh, I know. I wrote 2 stories yesterday, too. Maybe that's where we start. Because there were videos in there, and actually they were pretty disturbing. But, I mean, even though these were pretty disturbing stories, I don't really feel like getting hot over them. I don't feel like getting hot over any of this stuff, because after a while it just makes me tired. I was having like some major philosophical discussions with myself here too last night, and I don't even remember what they were. I came to some good conclusions though about life. Here's one thing though I think you'll find interesting. I think I knew this somewhere. I had read this in one of my mags, but it was just released in a Science Alert magazine. Learning a new word stimulates the same region of the brain as sex. Now remember, anything that stimulates the same part of the brain as sex does is probably a good thing, but it's also going to release like dopamine and give you that happy feeling. So playing video games, things like that. Reward. It's the whole reward system. Or the sense of accomplishment. And we looked at all that before, what releases endorphins. An international team of scientists has discovered that learning the meaning of new words can stimulate the same pleasure circuits in our brain as sex, gambling, drugs, and eating. So there you go. See? This is awesome news for all the word lovers out there. And the breakthrough will also help scientists understand how humans evolved to develop language. The aim of the study was to find out to what extent learning a language could activate these pleasure and reward circuits. Man, my eyes are even having trouble seeing. It's like the screen is so bright. I'm sitting here squinting, half turning my head. From the point of evolution, it's an interesting theory that this type of mechanism could have helped human language to develop. As part of the study, 36 participants were asked to take part in both gambling simulations and language learning trials where they were taught new words. Researchers monitored brain activity of both groups using magnetic resonance imaging while they did this. Blah, 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 blah. I don't see. The top sentence was the only exciting part. The rest of it was kind of boring. I don't know. That's the way I've been for everything. Like, everything is just kind of boring me. I had a friend like that. He actually was... he's the guy that got caught hacking Ma Bell at like 11 in 1972. And that was always his expression. This is boring. And everything was boring. And I never understood how everything could be boring. But I'm at that point now. It's just plain boring. Same shit. Different day. And it just doesn't change. And I knew sex. When something stimulates the same part of the brain as sex is when you get that feeling of accomplishment. I mean, they use that, mind you. You know why that's important? They use that to manipulate us. That is how advertising works mostly. A lot of the times it is stimulating your sex receptors in the United States, especially, and in Europe. Oh my God, have you seen some of the ads over there? They're like half pornographic. I don't know, especially with DARPA and their brain research. All right, well, that's enough of that. Just know that you're being manipulated. Pay attention to how they're doing it, especially maybe now they'll start putting new vocabulary into the titles of mainstream news stories. You know what, actually? That's a good trick. Become more creative, CNN, with how you title your stories, and it may increase ratings. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, I can't look at that right now. Um, what do I care about? I guess that's the thing. Yesterday I cared about a lot different stuff than I care about now. When I crashed, I cared about nothing really. Sleeping. Okay. Yeah, I think I just gotta play videos. This is not being very effective. Though, I guess this video, I should probably read it first. New video. This is one of the ones I did yesterday. Very painful. Tell you, when it takes you 2.5 hours to post a story, it just doesn't make it fun anymore. But when you kind of got to post stories to pay for things, then you're sort of forced to spend the 2.5 hours writing and posting a story that then takes you away from everything else you were supposed to be doing. So this is just unsustainable. And here's the one thing I'm going to tell everybody. As of the first of the year, I'm probably going to have to find something else to go in this slot because this is one conclusion I came to last night. Doing this, I cannot do shows and run an entire network and write all these stories to make the money to pay all the bills I got to pay because people can't click on things that would very easily take care of that. So I'm probably, and I don't think Zori and Lady Pitbull really want to do the show anymore either. And I can't do the show by myself, and I can't do it if I have to stay up all night writing. So I think we're going to reconsider as to whether or not we do the show anymore. And I probably won't open the time slot up to anyone else because then it means if I give this time slot to someone else, then I have to be available to make sure stuff doesn't screw up. And I really don't want to be. I'd like to be able to, after 2.5 years in this time slot, I would really like to go, wow, I don't have to get up today if I don't feel like it at before 9 o'clock. I get up, I say my goodbyes, I get Munchkin out the door, and then I could go crash back out if I really wanted to because I stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning working on something. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Everybody else can stay in their slots. I don't physically, mentally have the capacity to be doing everything anymore. So something's got to go, and it's probably going to have to be my show. All right. Titled, New video of man's death raises questions about Florida police conduct. December 17th, the assault continues this time in Key West, Florida. A new video suggests cops may have suffocated a man in the sand, prompting a new investigation. Unseen footage was just found during a civil suit investigation regarding an incident from November 28, 2013, when it started as a routine Key West traffic stop of recent retiree and Michigan transplant Charles Eimers and ended with his death on a Key West beach with a face full of sand, contrary to what was shown in the original police reports and photographs submitted during the initial investigation into his death. A police investigation into the incident has determined that Mr. Eimer's face was not forced into the sand, quote-unquote, and that submitted photographs of the incident had only shown a, quote, light dusting of sand on Mr. Eimer's face. The coroner ruled Mr. Eimer's death as accidental, with the autopsy report stating Mr. Eimer's died of lack of oxygen to the brain due to his pre-existing heart condition and struggle with police again. I keep writing these stories, but wow, are these fucking boring! You know what? Same shit, different fucking day. All of this stuff. Honestly, people, I don't find any excitement in this at all. Boring. A new video. Oh, look at that. Has surfaced. Again, though, the important thing about this is another one that was retrieved from the cloud because... Oh, no, actually, this one wasn't. Never mind. That was one of the other ones. New videos now surface that calls the official police account into question, showing Mr. Eimer's face covered in sand, motivating a new investigation in the inconsistencies of the police officer's account to let the family to believe from the very beginning it was more than just an accidental death. Wow, when have we heard that one before? Alright, here we go. Oh, shit, hold on. I need to connect. See, the joke of the show was I was just here testing to make sure we were on the air in the morning. And it was supposed to be pretty funny because I'm just such a bitch in the morning when I get up. And it was funny for a little while. But it's not funny anymore. Because I am a bitch when I get up. And to be honest, I just don't feel like dealing with anybody. I much rather would be sleeping. There. All right. Now maybe I can play this. Here we go.
A routine traffic stop that turned deadly is under review again. This morning, new evidence highlights inconsistencies in police officers' account of what happened. Elaine Kiana joins us with the new details and why the victim's family thinks the death was more than an accident. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning. We first told you the story of Charles Eimers back in May when a cell phone video of the incident seemed to contradict police accounts. As in other cases involving allegations of excessive force by police, a grand jury called to look into Eimers' death chose not to indict the officers. Well, now a new video is raising questions about what that grand jury did not see. On Thanksgiving morning last year, Charles Eimers drove into Key West planning a dream retirement. But not long after arriving, he was pulled over by police for illegally changing lanes.
Please wait your car. I'll be back with you in just a moment.
For reasons no one knows, Eimers fled.
Just ran the red light for First Street.
Running red lights as he drove through town. Officers caught up with him on this beach. Police told paramedics that Eimers left his vehicle, ran, and collapsed on the beach. He went into a coma. His family took him off life support a week later. But in May, CBS News obtained this video. In it, Eimers does not collapse. He surrenders and is surrounded by police. His son Trevor believes the family was lied to and worse.
I believe that my father was asphyxiated on the beach in Key West by the officers involved that day.
The medical examiner said the cause of death was lack of oxygen to the brain, but that it was due to Eimers' pre-existing heart condition and the struggle with police. The death was ruled an accident. In the autopsy, the medical examiner also considered the results of a Florida Department of Law Enforcement investigation into the incident, which determined Eimers' face was not forced into the sand and that initial photographs showed only a light dusting of sand on his face.
We got to be clear. All they did, the only level of force that was used in this particular case was they attempted to handcuff. It was handcuffing someone. That's all they did.
The Eimers family still believed they were being lied to. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit and began taking video depositions of the officers.
Did you see any sand on his face?
No.
Ever?
No.
Did you ever see his face?
Yes. His face was not face down. His face was to the side.
When you were at the scene with Mr. Eimers, was he bleeding?
Not that I didn't see any obvious signs of bleeding.
But not long after taking that sworn testimony, Eimers' attorneys discovered a new video with this close-up of Eimers after he lost consciousness, covered in sand and bleeding from his right ear. This is Officer Nicholas Galbo standing here, the same officer who said under oath that he never saw sand on Eimers' face. FDLE and the Key West Police had the contact information to obtain this video for over a year, but never got it. Which means that instead of seeing this, the medical examiner and grand jury saw this, and this, and this. Eimers' attorney, Darren Horan, got the phone number after FDLE's 7-month investigation was complete. How hard was it for you to get in touch with the person?
One phone call.
That's it?
That's it.
What does that tell you?
It tells me that they didn't try too hard to contact that person.
Why wasn't your department able to get a hold of that video?
FDLE was the agency that was responsible for the investigation into this case. So, that's probably a question that's better posed to them.
FDLE denied our request for an on-camera interview, but said in a statement they are reviewing this new piece of evidence and that they were not aware the video existed. A video that shows the police officer's stories don't match up.
He was breathing when we stood him up.
He was breathing when you stood him up?
He was still fighting and talking. We didn't get very far before we were told that he was out.
Did you ever see them trying to stand him up?
No.
It's unclear which account is accurate. The camera panned away. And another video that could have shown exactly what happened is missing. Officer Gary Lee Levette, seen here, activated his taser during the arrest. The device began its own audio and video recording. But when that video was shown to the grand jury, it only showed what happened after the arrest. The actual critical moment of the arrest is the only thing you don't have on that audio-video recording, and I wonder why that is.
Yeah, it's because he didn't turn it on. There's no other explanation.
Yet according to FDLE's report, Officer Levette's taser automatically began a video and audio recording that recorded during and after the event. As part of the civil lawsuit, Haran alleges that part of the video was destroyed. Is it possible that Mr. Eimer's death was an accident?
It's always possible it's an accident, but if it was an accident, why the need for the cover-up?
Key West police have concluded their own internal affairs investigation and decided to discipline 2 of the officers. One will get a 5-day suspension without pay for making inappropriate comments about Eimers, and the other a letter of reprimand for unauthorized vehicle pursuit. Police stressed that neither action had anything to do with Eimers' death.
All right, Elaine, once again, the video.
And what's so amazing about that, I'll drop the story for you guys. Oh, hold on. There we go. What's absolutely amazing about that is, did you hear the one guy got 5 days and the other guy got a reprimand or something? I don't know. What did she say? I don't even remember what she said. But, I mean, they're both such completely insignificant punishments. And this poor guy, if you watch the original... from the original trial, the coroner come out and he's like, oh yeah, he had a dusting of sand on his face, and they show the close-up pictures that they used in their investigation, and he's got like a little bit of sand up his nose and a little bit like around his cheeks and stuff, and he's they look like they must have gotten him with the paramedics, like they tried to resuscitate him. He almost looked like he was in the hospital, which he may have made it in the hospital. I don't know where he died, but regardless, the cop said that his face had not been in the sand, and one of them said that he hadn't been bleeding. And this new video that surfaced actually zooms in on him as police are surrounding him, and his face is literally, you can see from where the sand was all around him, and it was all the way back to his jawbone. His face had been stuffed all the way in the sand, and it sure as hell looks to me like someone grabbed him by the back of the head and stuffed his face in the sand as hard as they could and held it there. So yeah, that new video that surfaced, and by the way, that video was discovered by the son who was working on a civil lawsuit, and they contacted the... one of the witnesses that I guess was listed in the police investigation, and I guess they had video that the police investigation never found. Like, how mysteriously is that? So now this new video surfaces, and it opens up a new case. I don't know, it was very disturbing when I saw that video, because it was very obvious to me that the dude had been suffocated by cops. So, good going, Key West PD! There's another one, too. Denver. Hold on. I love spending my days on stories of people getting the shit kicked out of them. You know what? I'm gonna begin my new year looking up cute kitty cat pictures, I think. That is going to be all I look at. Here we go. Hey, hold on one second, because I'm going to get pissed off now if for some reason somebody has effed with my story. How come it's not in the headlines now? Well, that's sure odd. After I was really nice and turned everyone else on that they forgot to turn on. Alright, here, wait. I'm on the wrong one. Oh, la 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 la. Oh, and like I said, I don't even get excited about this stuff anymore. When you don't get excited about anything, it's like just pulling teeth. And it's not really fun. I have to be motivated by something. So, it's not money, food, or sex. Or friends. None of them. Just misery and people having the shit kicked out of them. And lots of work. It makes it hard to do. This one, Denver cops severely beat a man, slammed pregnant woman to the ground. This was not my title. Seized video and falsified reports. Go Denver! I think this one happened back a little while ago. The interesting part about it was just recently, over the last few days, the witness to the event came out, and he had been threatened with arrest as he was filming this drug takedown by the narcotics unit. I think it was cocaine, they said. The guy had it all stuffed in a sock, and he's trying to stuff it in his mouth, and the cops are fighting him for it, and they take him down to the ground, and they are literally punching the shit out of this dude. Bam, 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 bam. His girlfriend screaming, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was like out of a bad Quentin Tarantino movie is what it looked like. And this dude's recording this whole thing, and then the pregnant girlfriend comes running up, and the cop that's punching the dude in the face grabs her by the leg and flips her onto the ground. I mean, it really is unbelievably horrifying. But what happens toward the end of this is one of the cops look over and they see the guy recording, and then they tell him that they either want his tablet or they're going to arrest him. And they snagged the tablet out of his hands and walked off with it. And next thing he knew, poof, they come back and whoa, he's like acts all surprised in this video, like his video's gone. I'm thinking to myself, duh, dude, that's why you like run or do something. Yeah, his video is gone. But when he got home, he thought, well, maybe I'll try syncing up with my cloud account. Lo and behold, it reappears again. So I'm telling you, that cloud storage for your videos while you're filming cops seems to be the golden ticket. Because this just saved another one. So this witness to this event just came out. Something I didn't talk about in the story because it really was kind of irrelevant and got into too much detail. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I noticed is when you write just too much detail, people get bored. They can't... The adult attention span cannot be held for that long in a time span to be able to get people to read all the details. So typically I just deal with whatever the main details are, but apparently this dude, the guy who filmed this, just got arrested for some newfound like traffic ticket that just appeared. Yeah, I believe that one. So that might explain why he decided to come out right about now. The assault continues, this time in Denver, Colorado, where police officers were accused of using excessive force during a narcotics arrest and then confiscating and erasing the eyewitness video evidence. The witness, Levi Frazier, said cops threatened him with arrest and then erased his video of the violent arrest from his tablet, and not his arrest, but the arrest that he was filming. Frazier was able to sync up his device when he got home and retrieve the deleted video afterward from his cloud account. Recovering this video shows that police did falsify the report by not ever mentioning the video or the incident at all. Frazier's horrifying recording is below. Now, probably, well, actually, this is a recent report, so this just isn't the beating video. This is a video where they'll actually talk about it. So I guess that's okay. But here, might as well do this and let me drink more coffee. So hold on 1 second. Oh, ding-a-ling. There we go. All right, here we go.
To another story tonight. Allegations of police wrongdoing here in Denver. Officers accused of using excessive force on a suspect and then trying to erase the evidence. A video recorded by a witness.
And that witness says he can no longer stay silent, and he is sharing his story and the video exclusively with us. And we want to warn you, you may find this video hard to watch. Fox 31 Denver investigative reporter Chris Halsey has the story.
Police and witnesses do agree on one thing, that a suspected drug user had a white sock, and he stuffed it in his mouth just as narcotics agents were making an arrest here in this parking lot at 5th and Federal. What happened next and why it happened is now the subject of an incredible controversy.
Get the drugs out! Get the drugs out!
That's veteran Denver police officer Charles Jones IV smashing an unarmed suspect in the face 6 times. You can see the suspect's head bouncing off the pavement as a result of the force. These exclusive pictures taken inside an ambulance a short time later show some of the trauma caused by the blow. Levi Frazier was a bystander who videotaped the arrest on his tablet.
I've never heard anything louder than that. I used to cage fight for quite a while, and I've never seen punches harder than that.
According to police reports obtained exclusively by Fox 31 Denver, Officer Jones's reported reasoning for the punches were twofold: trying to retrieve what he believed was a bag of heroin from the suspect's mouth, and fear that this green t-shirt wearing undercover narcotics officer's arm was injured, trapped beneath the suspect's body.
You could Sorry, it was heroin, not cocaine. Same white sort of powder. But wait a minute. So the reason why I'm punching the shit out of this guy is because, one, he's got heroin in a bag in his mouth, and two, my officer's arm is trapped under his body on the ground. So it's going to take me punching him 6 times in the head, bouncing his head up and down off the ground. Okay. Yep. All right. Here we go.
Inflict serious injury.
Mark Carlson is a former Brighton police officer hired to analyze this videotape for the drug suspect's potential criminal case.
I just don't see how either swallowing evidence or they're worried about him choking is justifying that degree of force. I mean, you're risking... We don't want you to choke, so we're going to fracture your face instead.
But officer-thrown punches are not the only actions in this parking lot that shocked Frazier. The suspect's 7 months pregnant girlfriend can be heard off camera screaming for police to stop. When she approaches the pile, Jones reaches out and trips her. The woman falls hard on her stomach and face. Officer Jones's reason for face-planting a pregnant woman? He thought she was going to kick him. Frazier didn't see it that way.
She was just screaming like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Let him go. Let him go. Stop hurting him. What are you doing?" And she was just concerned for him. Like, you could clearly hear that.
Police expert Carlson says, as bad as this looks, officers are usually given wide latitude when outside interference presents itself.
I'm sure I would react similarly, whether it's pushing her, jumping up to confront her, grabbing her, whatever it is, because you're not sure what the threat is.
I sat there and turned around as that happened, after she got thrown down, like, did anyone else see this? Is this really happening right now?
In fact, police did see something, Frazier pointing a camera at them. He tells Fox 31 Denver they threatened him with arrest, demanded he turn over all photos and videotape to them, then seized his tablet over his objections.
When he took it, I said, "Hey, you can't do that. You need a warrant for that." And he was like, "What program did you take the video with? Where is that?"
Frazier says police ignored his objections and dug through his personal photos anyways.
The first officer that comes up to ask me about my witness statement brings me to the police car and says, "We could do this the easy way, or we could do this the hard way."
When they said we can do this the easy way or the hard way, how did you take that?
It was taken as you can either cooperate and give us what we want, or we're going to incarcerate you.
Official police reports don't even mention officers trying to view Frazier's videotape, let alone anything about seizing a tablet or erasing files. But listen, officers clearly knew he was recording. Frazier says that when they returned with his tablet, the file was gone.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, my heart dropped. I was like, man, I know I just shot that video. Like, it's not on there now.
After Frazier got home, he tells Fox 31 Denver he synced his tablet with an electronic cloud. And within moments, the video file reappeared.
Did you get a feeling that they wanted to see what you had in case it was evidence against their behavior?
It was very well known that the video was shot and that things were done on the video that shouldn't be leaked out, that it would be bad for the reputations of police officers.
Frazier's friends encouraged him to delete the clip, suspecting Denver police would figure out a way to jam him up. Frazier tells Fox 31 Denver he has faith that police commanders will do the right thing and target their next investigation toward cleaning up what appears to him to be a group of officers using excessive force. The injured suspect is David Nelson Flores. He faces a charge of resisting arrest and 2 felony drug charges. The woman who was tripped is Myra Guerrero. She faces charges for obstruction, drugs, and child abuse because there was a child in the car when this arrest went down. Neither showed up for their last court appearance, so if you've seen them, encourage them to turn themselves in. And we did offer to show Denver police the videotape 2 days ago, but they declined. Late today, still without seeing the video, Commander Matt Murray spoke with Fox 31 Denver about Mr. Frazier's allegations.
We would love to talk with him if he has further information. We want that information. And if there's misconduct, we will happily investigate that and report that to the community. This is about transparency, not cover-up like you were intimating in your teaser.
And we'll have more from the police department tomorrow as we continue to investigate the apparent discrepancies between what's on the videotape and what the police wrote in their reports before they knew the videotape existed.
If there's one takeaway for the viewer here, I think it should be this. If you're out in public and you see something happening and it's in public, you can videotape it and nobody can do anything about that.
You can videotape it and you don't have to listen to police when they say turn it over if they don't have a search warrant.
Absolutely. All right, Chris, much more to come. Thank you.
And the very most disappointing thing about all of this is all that's changing. And I think, you know what, that was where I had decided I was going to go this morning, because those 2 things are very important. One, whether or not it's still going to remain legal, like they just used some technicalities in the law in Illinois to now make it somewhat illegal to be recording police. And if things such as these would be considered state secrets, like they just passed the state secret law in Japan that just went into effect, and now they are working on the lockdown in Australia. I don't know if you saw that, but I posted a story Brandon Surville wrote yesterday up at Antimedia. It was all about the farce that is Sydney. And it brought up some interesting points as well. They're passing all kinds of new bills. And, of course, this whole quote-unquote terror siege in Australia was all about putting a clamp down on another country. And they are passing bills fast and furiously and had all kinds of bills waiting in the wings. We'll talk about that, too, later. But what is the third thing did he say? He said something else. Oh, my God. In the morning, it's just so hard for me. So, I feel a little better. What I should be doing is getting up at 8:30 and drinking coffee for 20 minutes. I didn't realize that actually made much of a difference, but at least I'm not sitting here yelling, "I hate you, microphone," if I do that. There were a couple other additions to the story. So those 2 people at that time were still missing, and can you blame them? They didn't show up for the court appearance. I mean, how crazy is that, too, if they were let out on bail after a beating like that? Who would go back? You know what I mean? If you just get the shit kicked out of you that badly, would you be surrendering yourself to the police department? Fuck no. This was right before Thanksgiving, it appears. The FBI is now investigating the alleged incident of Denver Police Department's use of excessive force in that very case. Fox 31 Denver has confirmed that the FBI Public Corruption Unit, I didn't even know they had one of those, is looking into the actions of a small group of Denver police officers, and if the department is properly investigating, it's hard for me to read when I can't stare straight at the screen because it's so bright. And if the department properly investigated a use of force incident. So this, of course, was cops investigating themselves, and now the FBI is coming back going, well, let's check out your investigation. I really don't think the FBI is one to point any fingers. The investigation stems from a series of Fox 31 Denver reports into an incident that occurred August 14th, which that must have been what this was. Denver Police Department's Internal Affairs Division is cooperating with the FBI, looking at two main questions. How many of these police departments, is what I want to know, are now under federal investigation? And, like, how frightening is it that these federal divisions that we already know are just beyond corrupt, and they're working at orchestrating all of these false paradigms to be able to then pass sweeping legislation that robs us of more civil rights? How frightening is it that the Fox is in charge of the chicken house? Honestly, you know, when I gotta tell you, when I see this stuff every day, it gets me. First of all, I get like ho-hum because it's just, again, same shit, different day. It's just every day. It's the same garbage. And we got to watch these corrupt assholes then get caught and then shit their pants over it. I'm just so sick of it. I'm sick of it. I wish there could be like a taser or something, you know, but like everybody's on body cam. All the cops are on body cam, you know, like I talked about. So we have this whole streaming video page where we have all the body cams that you can then search down by state, county, precinct, you know, badge number, and we'll go between the divisions, the sheriff, you know, the county sheriff, the state troopers, the whatever you got, local PD, you know, some, I guess like Texas Rangers are probably like Texas state troopers, but they're different. So they got an elite crew. Here in New York, we just have troopers and sheriffs and then local cops. But you know what I mean? Like, be able to drill down. So you could actually, anybody could then drill down and watch any live real-time video. And it always talked about a red button. A red button to be able to push. So when you're seeing brutality or something like this, it begins taking a snippet. You know, you're reporting something, and it begins like ripping from the live video to then send it somewhere. You know, send it to a mailbox for review then by a citizen board. And, you know, maybe there's 100 people nationwide or 1,000 people. We probably need that many for as many brutality accusations we get on a daily basis. So maybe 1,000 people that, you know, offer to monitor for a quarter, for 3 months. And when there are things sent to the mailbox of your region, you are responsible for them looking at it and going, oh, that looks pretty bad. And then giving it like a thumbs up for it, recommending to be reviewed then by a larger authority. But it's got to be outside of these corrupt political bullshit freaking employees, you know. And what kills me is that the majority of these people that are doing us wrong at the upper levels of law are all paid for by our tax dollars. I mean, people keep forgetting that. If it's your tax dollar, we're the ones in charge. I mean, obviously you can't go walking up saying, I want my refund of $329.92 that showed up as a line item bill on my county tax bills saying that I paid for sheriff protection. You know, that's not going to fly. But if you got a good majority of your community together, could you imagine playing that as like a community event? Go to one of your community events and let's play that video for everybody first to open up the show. And people would be like, what? They'd probably drag you out kicking and screaming. They don't want to see that. Well, you know what? those police officers represent the community that you and I live in, okay? So when we have this heinous activity that then is captured and then put on a global stage, it's not just a nationwide stage anymore. It's global. And don't think that the whole world isn't watching very closely what's going on here, because they are. You know, despite everything you thought about the whole Eric Garner and Michael Brown cases, the Michael Brown case, his parents, and I think I talked about that. I did a story about it. His parents went to the UN and testified in front of the UN Torture Committee. You know, and they came back saying they were really disappointed with the United States and that. And of course, remember, this is right before the torture report was released. So I'm sure that they feel even worse. But they were stating that we were not up to snuff on UN torture regulations that we were signatory to. And now that the torture report has been released, the UN has been calling for prosecutions against those involved. Personally, I would love to see G.W. Bush and Dickie Cheney have to go to jail, or at least stand up in front of a tribunal. But who knows if that'll ever happen. The one thing that made me happy about the torture report being released is that now it's not just a few conspiracy theorists that are standing out there pointing the finger. You know, when Cheney went to Canada, and I don't remember what really happened. I know that people went after him in Canada. There wasn't there a warrant out for his arrest, and he had to run. I think there's a few places a few countries actually, where there are warrants out for them. They're wanted, and so they can't travel anymore. You know, make them be isolated and have to live in Argentina on their aquifers that they bought because, you know, they're going to pollute everything, and then be sitting there with all the blue gold that they can choke down, and they're hoping to make a profit on. Oh, anyway. So I'm going to lose my train of thought here for a second. So let's get back to these cameras. So the fact that these cameras have been on everywhere, we've been exposing this corruption, and like I said, it's a great thing. It really is, because it's not conspiracy theory anymore. But on the other hand, I just honestly, the fact that we watch this stuff every day and nothing is being done, and like an FBI investigation is going to do anything. So what good has it done that the Department of Justice has taken over? I did a story on that too. I think I read 13 divisions, 13 police departments now, like major ones in big cities that were under like major investigation that the DOJ was going to come in. Criminal Attorney General Eric Holder's in charge of the DOJ. So that's got to make you feel warm and fuzzy. You know it does me. So anyway, the investigation stems from a series of Fox 31 reports, blah, blah, blah. Denver Police Department Internal Affairs Division is cooperating with the FBI, who is looking at two main questions. Number one, did the officers use excessive force during the arrest of a suspected drug user? I would say so. I don't know. I don't remember bouncing the head off the ground as being in any police manual that I ever heard of. And two, did officers illegally search a witness's electronic video files without his consent? Well, yes, except that with these new and slippery laws, and I'm going to read to you about a case I did a story on over the weekend. There was a Supreme Court ruling. Actually, I think it was Tuesday. There was a Supreme Court ruling that came through on Monday in regards to civil liberties. And I think it just caused us to lose a lot. We'll talk about that next. It says witness Levi Frazier recorded the incident, blah, blah, blah. Police have said that the officer was assisting with a drug sting, was trying to get the suspect to dump the coke out of his mouth. Yeah, and they pretty much tell the same story. So I don't want to read this whole thing, but oh yeah, This is the one lawyer says it's disturbing. This is a case that concerns us because police officers who are engaged in misconduct have a motive to intimidate citizens into staying quiet. But that's becoming the status quo across the entire nation from all these fuckers. Get it? They want us to shut up. I'll tell you, that's the one thing that has motivated me from day one because I don't like to be told to shut up. I am a loudmouth, and I am ornery, and I'm belligerent. If you piss me off, I could be the nicest person on the planet. I love fuzzy things and flowers. But when I get pissed off, I am one nasty bitch. And that's one thing that I don't like is when I have something to say and you decide you're going to tell me to shut up. This is still a free country. I could say whatever the hell I want to say within reason. I mean, I try not to be rude, but if I'm mad, look out. So, and that's the fact. All these laws and all these intimidations and all these beatings are to get you to shut up. There was another story here, though, I wanted to find about them arresting this dude who taped this this altercation. I thought I saw yesterday he just got arrested. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here we go. So this is from 2 days ago. Oh, this is from the 11th. This is from last week. A bystander who recently stepped forward with a video recording of Denver police officers punching a drug suspect and then tripping his pregnant girlfriend during a violent arrest last August was in jail himself Thursday night. An attorney familiar with Levi Frazier's arrest said the Denver police stopped Frazier's truck on Thursday and arrested him for a, quote, newly activated traffic warrant out of Park County, Colorado, unquote. Records show that the warrant is for failing to appear in court for 2 traffic tickets from several months ago that were for failing to show proof of insurance and a lack of vehicle registration. Frazier was reportedly arrested after leaving the FBI office and before he arrived at Fox 31 Denver studios for a scheduled interview. Wait, did you hear that? Frazier was reportedly arrested after he left the FBI office, so he must have been interviewing with them for their investigation that we had just talked about, and that was all based upon his recording that they were even investigating. But he was leaving the FBI and he was headed for an interview with Fox 31 Studios, but he was arrested for a newly activated traffic warrant. Boop, 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 meow. What a crock of shit that is. Frazier was not allowed to bond out, and they made him spend the night in jail. For a lack of vehicle registration, they told him they refused his bond, and they made him stay in jail. What the hell is that shit? Go Denver. We emailed the Denver Police Department for a comment and other clarifications after hours. Commander Matt Murray replied, I would check with the jail. They could provide the most accurate information about why Mr. Frazier is in jail. Frazier better be careful, actually. It says Frazier is a key witness in an ongoing Denver Police Department internal affairs investigation, and after recording an arrest in his electronic device, Frazier accused officers of seizing his Samsung tablet, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. The video was missing on Thursday. So this was just a few days ago. It was a week ago today. A Denver mayor's citizen oversight board, so get this, Denver mayor's citizen oversight board sent a letter to Chief Robert White accusing the Denver Police Department of, quote, attacking the credibility of the witness who came forward, unquote. And we've seen that many times, which, quote, will only inhibit other members of the public from cooperating with the Denver Police Department and the Internal Affairs Bureau if they witness possible officer misconduct in the future, unquote. I'm trying to remember which story I just saw. There was another one that just came out over the last week or so that now they've arrested some other witness who came out with the video. You know what? Screw this shit. By the way, Reverend Pinckney, who came out against all the corruption in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and mind you, 3 people who are responsible for him getting arrested and all those trumped up faked ass charges last week were busted on corruption and stuck in jail. And now one of the witnesses was exposed just before Reverend Pinckney's sentencing on Monday. So this will be the 4th witness now was exposed in corruption and wrongdoing. She was exposed lying on the witness stand, and they convicted him 2.5 to 10 years, people. 4 people that were responsible for even getting him charged for bullshit charges, ending up in jail, proving that they were scamming money and lying on the witness stand, and he still got railroaded. But I mean, there was another one too that I just saw, though. One of these brutality cases and didn't Eric Garner too? That was we heard about the guy who filmed the Eric Garner case, which was Garner's friend. And regardless of whatever these people's history is, I mean, this dude was a freaking unpaid parking ticket. Please give me a break. There's not one person in this country, probably not in the world, that aren't breaking some sort of law at some point, regardless if they know it or not. Okay? Don't play that you're fucking, white suit perfect, because I know you're not. Nobody is. Absolutely nobody. There's nobody that I know that follows the letter to law. Every day, all day, for their entire fucking lives. Doesn't happen. Period. Just doesn't happen. So get over yourself. And, how ridiculous is this? And so these guys, and I'm going to tell you this new Supreme Court ruling. So hold on. We're going to look at a couple things now. Let's beep, 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 beep. It's just too much shit. All right. Here. First of all, we're going to look at the new Illinois ruling, because this is talking about now they apparently bastardized a law, a privacy law, to now make it illegal. So hold on. I hate this music.
People are protesting all over about police brutality in the U.S. People are mad about too many officers abusing their authority. That's what's going on right now. So now might not be the time to pass laws making it easier for the police to be less accountable. But that's exactly what the state of Illinois just did. They just passed a bill that would make it a felony to tape private conversations. It criminalizes the recording of private conversations between 2 or more people where at least one person had a reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, theoretically, I could get behind that. Because I'll be honest, I am really sick of everyone whipping out their cell phones and hitting record every single minute of every damn day. But where the new bill becomes something I can't get behind is where it creates even steeper punishments for people who record their interactions with the police. If you record a private conversation with a citizen, the new bill makes that a Class 4 felony. But if you record a private conversation with a policeman or attorney general, assistant attorney general, state's attorney, assistant state's attorney, or a judge, that's a Class 3 felony where you can go to prison for up to 2 to 4 years.
I want to stop this because those are all public officials. So anything that I say to any of those people should not be considered confidential. Don't you think? I mean, if they're having a discussion with me, unless it were with my attorney, that would be confidential conversation. But anything I say can and will be used against me in a court of law with any of these fuckers. So why should that be considered private? Because guess what? It's not. Anything I say can and will be used against me in a court of law. Period. That's the way it goes. So how could any conversation with any of these people who are paid by the public be considered private and privileged? It's not. You're not my attorney. And at least that's my take on it. I call bullshit on this stupid law.
The bill also can be used as an argument against police body cameras, especially since the wording of the bill is so fuzzy. That whole reasonable expectation thing is a gray area, especially when it comes to police coming into people's homes. It's also up for debate on exactly what constitutes a private conversation to begin with. The whole thing is wide open to interpretation, which...
And guys, this is the sticky slope that we are on right now. Interpretation, having an English degree and spending many years studying religious texts and creation myths and trying to decode secrets of the histories. I'm going to tell you what I came down to, it's all about interpretation. The interpretation of how you view things, and if you just skew things a few degrees to the right or the left, it gives it a whole new meaning. And this is how they're going to take us down. This is how they're going to use our laws against us without even changing the laws necessarily. They're just going to mutate the laws like our bodies are being mutated by the GMOs. You know, this is wrong. Now, there have been privacy laws for a long time, like when you call into a customer service center, and they give you the recorded message saying your call may be recorded for training purposes. By law, they have to tell you that because you're expecting reasonable privacy between you and the agent that you're going to be discussing as you're giving out your credit card number or whatever. But if they give you that statement stating that we are recording you, they can get around that privacy expectation because now they have informed you that they are recording your conversation. Well, this law that they are passing, or bill, or whatever it is that they're passing now in Illinois, is using that same concept, that same thought that you had a privacy of expectation, or an expectation of privacy. I'm calling total, absolute, utter bullshit on this. If I were in Chicago right now, I'd be standing on the desk screaming, banging pots and pans with wooden spoons.
Is the last thing we need right now in legislation that involves police accountability. Critics are saying that the bill clearly is designed to scare citizens from recording their interactions with police. They say there's no other reason for this bill to impose a higher penalty on people who record police other than to deter them from recording at all. And the vague wording just makes it worse. It just makes it scarier for a person when they might already be scared of a police officer. So while it might be good to have...
And why wouldn't they be scared after seeing 10,000 videos over the last year and a half of them kicking the shit out of citizens?
A conversation about not recording private conversations with regular people, now is definitely not the time to impose any penalties for recording the police. Now is the time to be taking steps toward making police more accountable, not less accountable. The bill still has to be signed by the governor, who's publicly remaining quiet about it. Too bad we might get arrested if we try to find out how he feels about it in private.
Yeah.
Tonight, let's talk about that.
And guys, one of the things that I see is just a whole connecting thread here is that all of these quote-unquote privacy or secrecy laws are all aimed at getting out information. Anyone who's going to be trying to get out the truth, citizen journalists, whistleblowers. I mean, this in this whole Sydney siege. Hold on, I gotta kill this again. Man. In the Sydney siege story that Brandon did yesterday, it goes through some of the new laws, and just like the privacy law that they just passed in Japan, which is because they have whistleblowers coming out about Fukushima everywhere. So you know what? Let's elect a new pro-nuke president or whatever the hell he is in Japan, prime minister. And while we get him elected, let's also make sure this secrecy law goes into effect so we can pretty much call everything state secrecy rights, and you are threatening the security of the country if you open your mouth about anything that we claim is state secrecy, and we'll put up to a 10-year jail term on you releasing information, period. End of story, it's over. And so they just did that in Japan. Well, guess what? They are working on passing not even round 1 or round 2, but round 3 of laws on the heels now. And they'd already had, I guess, a couple of these passed before this incident happened with the Sydney siege, and they had another bill waiting in the wings, and number 3 is on its way through, sweeping measures to keep people quiet. Scan computers. You have no privacy expectation whatsoever in Australia anymore. None. Absolutely none. Here, actually, let's read this one because I know it's not off topic. It's along the same thing. This is happening globally now, people, and it's got to stop, and it's going to happen faster and faster. And don't believe anything you see anymore. I mean, they are mutating reality now for us, and this is, again, problem, reaction, solution. And I cannot believe that people are so stupid that they fell for it again. But they did. They did. Over and over and over and over and over. All right, this one is titled Sydney Siege Aftermath. Australian government seeks more anti-terrorism laws. Right on schedule. Following a high-profile terrorist attack, the government of Australia is now, quote, investigating new security laws, unquote, and other methods that can be used to gut civil liberties, privacy, and the general way of life of Australian citizens. On the day of the Sydney siege, Australian lawmakers, intelligence agencies, legal branches, and other government office officials sprung into action in order to discuss the possibility of passing yet another law allowing the collection and the housing of telecommunication and internet data of Australian citizens. And for those of us who have family and friends over there who communicate frequently, you better believe they're going to be watching everything we all say together. This is just so disturbing, and they are just in bed with us. So anything you say to any of your friends and family in Australia is going to end up right back here in the NSA's hands. On December 16th, the Australian Parliament was hearing testimony by Federal Police Commissioner Andrew Colvin, who, quote, warned of grave implications for terrorism investigations if telecommunication companies are not forced to keep phone and internet data, unquote. I could not understate enough that it would have grave implications for law enforcement's ability in this country to investigate, deter, or disrupt potential terrorist acts, Colvin said. He also claimed that as new telecom companies have entered the market, there was less data being collected, and what data is being collected is being held for shorter periods. We've talked about all this. This is going from the old SS7 networks to IP or voice over IP. They were having trouble then tracking conversations, and in this country we had this massive overhaul and takeover of the internet. Well, they discovered that, they needed to still do the same in Australia, so let's have some crazy mofo take over a chocolate coffee shop, and then let's just call it a day and swoop in with the 21st century surveillance materials. We'll give you all the new toys, Australia, don't worry about it. Just make sure you keep giving uranium to India, as Russia then decides that they're going to build them 12 new nuclear reactors, and they're not getting along with Pakistan. Yeah, keep it up. It's completely off topic, but this is just such a dirty, dirty game that they are playing. And then let's add to that, and I didn't even talk about this. This should have been the headlines. We are normalizing relations with Cuba. There's no agenda there. We'll talk about that one too. The inquiry comes as part of the Joint Intelligence and Security Committee's quote-unquote debate over a third, yes, not first, not second, but a third round of oppressive laws regarding phone and computer data collection and retention. Of course, since the inquiries conveniently have come on the heels of the Sydney siege, lawmakers are now asking whether or not these measures could serve to prevent, quote, lone wolf attacks. Yes, like they've been beating the lone wolf drum here as we've had attacks popping out like whack-a-moles everywhere. They could prevent lone wolf attacks as well as coordinated acts of terrorism. A separate inquiry is being requested to determine if these laws could also prevent events like the Sydney siege, which appear to be something vastly different from a lone wolf attack, and instead more, like Brandon says, more like a state-sponsored event. The committee is also set to examine the next package of proposed counterterrorism laws in the near future. Some of the major players on the committee were anything but critics of the greater implementation of police and surveillance state, such as Australia's top spy, ASIO director, Duncan Lewis. So I guess that's what their FBI is called, ASIO. ASIO. The Australian Crime Commission and the Attorney General's Office, after the passage of the first and second round of surveillance and anti-terrorism bills in Australia. The occurrence of the Sydney siege will conveniently serve to eliminate much of the opposition to that legislation already passed, as well as those bills currently being debated. So yeah, you know what? Let's just stage a terrorist attack, kill some people, and everyone's just going to fall right into line. And you know what? I will guarantee you that's exactly what's going to happen. The first round of anti-terrorism legislation passed in Australia. By the way, if I go to contact my cousin, I will guarantee you that she is eating this right up and probably won't even talk to me about this, because I know that when they were here, they definitely, her husband got into it. We had some good conversations, but I don't think my cousin sees all this. And maybe she does, but I don't think she's going to go out of line against the government for even any alter beliefs. The first round of anti-terrorism legislation passed in Australia this year. And you know what? Here's the thing. When you have I don't know, their whole belief is a lot different there. There are some people that I know that consider themselves radicals over there. And just let me read a little bit more, because I don't think we're going to be seeing too much more of them. This sounds pretty extensive, and it's very possible that this could just be the next toe in the water to start testing shit that then, it becomes NATO, UN, as by the way, the UN is very, very quietly working in the background on the takeover of the internet. So be aware of that, because I don't think that in the future here we are going to have the liberties that we're complaining that are disappearing quickly now. I think we're going to end up with way less liberties, quote unquote liberties, here in the near future. The first round of anti-terrorism legislation passed in Australia this year was called the National Security Legislation Amendment Bill Number 1, 2014, passed with bipartisan support, as Gen Grubb of the Sydney Morning Herald wrote in September. This bill gave the Australian government even more extraordinary powers. He stated, quote, that Australian spies will now soon have the powers to monitor the entire Australian internet with just one warrant. And journalists and whistleblowers will face up to 10 years jail for disclosing classified information, or what they consider, quote unquote, classified, anything that they could consider to be a threat to national security. It's the same basic law that they just passed and now enacted in Japan. State secrecy law, that's what they called it. And you better believe, we have already heard that Barry has prosecuted more whistleblowers than any other president in history. You better believe that this is going to come here. I would bet money on it. And actually, there's a trial going on right now for the New York Times journalist, and if we don't run out of time, we can look at that one too. The government's first tranche, I don't even know what that word, tranche, looks like some bastardized French word. The government's first tranche of tougher anti-terrorism bills, which will beef up the powers of domestic spy agencies, passed the Senate 44 votes to 12 on Thursday night, and I believe that was in September, with bipartisan support from Labor, anyone, including journalists, whistleblowers, and bloggers who, and this is a quote, recklessly discloses information that relates to a special intelligence operation, unquote, faces up to 10 years in jail. Well, and then it says any operation can be declared, quote unquote, special by an authorized ASIO officer. Well, isn't that special? We're just giving them loopholes to be able to make anything that they do classified. Kind of what they do here anyway, already. And they've made it legal and we've gone along with it. It's classified. Well, it's classified. And you know what? That FOIA bill never passed either. The one I wrote about last week that was going to open up freedom of information to require all of these departments, anything that was requested 3 times or more via FOIA as part of this new bill, it would require that document to be put online immediately. And they were going to make ease of access much easier. So it was going to cut down on millions of FOIA requests each year by putting the frequently requested documents online for everybody. So instead of getting 10,000 requests for the same document that you have to fulfill, you only get 3 requests for that document, and then that document's online, and then the public can go find it themselves. I don't think that ever passed. You know what? I don't have the House or the Senate live shit up right now. I know they were supposed to be wrapping it up for the year, but with all that budget stuff, and I don't know whatever happened to that either. I'll have to look. They had extended it and had done some afternoon sessions last week, but I have not even looked at it this week, so I guess we'll look at that tomorrow. Anyway, I don't know. We could keep reading. I mean, none of this is any surprise anymore, so we'll drop this one. Brandon's story was very, very good. And Australia is now absolutely screwed, just like we are. So, sorry, Australia. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you guys, and now it's here. But now I gotta remember, because that was my connecting point. We had a couple other things we're gonna look at. So we have new stricter laws. We have bullshit twisting of privacy laws in Illinois that they're trying to pass in a bill to make it illegal, which I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Class 4 felony or whatever the hell she said. Screw that. Any of those public entities that you're speaking with, none of your anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law to any official like that, okay? Your conversation was never private to begin with, so I don't see how they think that there's any expectation of privacy there at all. None. And, of course, Illinois and Chicago having good old Rahm there. I wouldn't be trusting anything that came out of that state. Bootlegging. I don't know. Illinois has a really bad history for their truthfulness and their lack of corruption. All right. So, let's see. We looked at Florida's cops lying. We looked at Denver's cops lying. We looked at retaliation in the Denver cop case because of the video. We looked at retaliation, we mentioned, in Eric Garner's case because of the guy who recorded. We looked at state secret laws, Japan, now Australia. We looked at false flag, fake terror attacks to bring in more surveillance and twisting of reality to be able to, make things illegal that aren't, make everyone a criminal. We talked about Reverend Pinckney being railroaded and 4 people responsible for him even being indicted, now up and busted on corruption, but he still got sentenced to 2.5 to 10 years. Now I saw a story that came out yesterday. Only quote-unquote witness to support Officer Darren Wilson's story, this is out of Ferguson, now widely acknowledged as a mentally ill liar and a racist. I was like, what? The former secret identity of witness number 40 who had given testimony in the Ferguson Police Department, Officer Darren Wilson grand jury. This is not a very easily readable story. I'm not sure who wrote this. That had been latched onto by police brutality apologists because of how closely her report mirrored the police officer. Now, you never start a sentence with but now it has become widely known that this close matching of accounts was no coincidence. So apparently this woman, pretty much she was the one person who parroted the exact testimony that Officer Darren Wilson had reported. And I got to tell you, when I heard his testimony, and who was I listening to that with? Somebody was listening to that with me, and at the same time we both said, wow, that sounds rehearsed. I mean, absolutely everything he said sounds like he'd been coached by Internal Affairs for every word that he should say on the stand. But apparently a witness corroborated everything he had said, but it ends up that this witness was a bit obsessive. Witness number 40 was in fact concocting her eyewitness account based on what social media was reporting of the officer's statements. Oh. After being exposed this week for a series of lies and racist comments, Sandra McElroy acknowledged that she in fact was witness number 40 who testified to the super secret Officer Darren Wilson grand jury. This comes as serious doubt has been cast upon whether or not she was even present at the shooting of Mike Brown, as she claimed. Several public comments she made before coming forward would seem to indicate that far from being at the scene, she was a mentally unstable individual who just became obsessed with the case and lied her way into relevance. And you know what? It's very possible. And there's enough information on the internet that you probably could find out information about anyone or anything to be able to come up with enough info to fake your way into something. Now McElroy has voiced concerns for her children, even though there have been no threats made toward them whatsoever. Quote, as I speak with the prosecutor, attorney, and the police, if they say it's all right, I will call you, she told the Smoking Gun. But so far, she isn't saying much. The Ferguson grand jury witness 40 became widely known amongst critics of the testimony released after it was revealed that she testified that she saw Michael Brown pummel Officer Darren Wilson before charging at him, quote, like a football player, head down. But it turns out that McElroy has a notable criminal history and allegedly has been diagnosed with having bipolar disorder, being a pathological liar, and now has been caught making several overtly racist remarks. Now McElroy's concocted testimony has become part of the traditional mainstream media narrative about what happened when Officer Darren Wilson pulled the trigger over and over and over and over again on an unarmed African-American 18-year-old Michael Brown. McElroy's testimony said that she saw Brown beat the virtually unscathed Officer Wilson, and it was contradicted by numerous other testimonies that Brown had his hands up. And, you know, that was the one thing that pissed me off so bad. Like I said, regardless of what Brown did before this situation or what Wilson did before, all I'm talking about is this one slice of moment in time where there seems to be many conflicting reports from all sides. And when that went to the grand jury and there was that much conflict in the typical stories, I just do not see how that didn't justify further investigation of having a trial, period. If there was that much confusion over what had happened, doesn't that justify investigation? Because I'm going to say it does. I call bullshit. See, the problem is right now I'm calling bullshit on everything, and this is like my bullshit meter is on overload at the moment. I've had a bullshit meter for a long time, but I mean literal overload. Everything is bullshit now. Everything. You got to pick it apart. I'm just sick of dissecting everything. You know, I feel like I've just gotten to the point of ornery, crotchety old woman now because I don't believe anything I say and I call bullshit on everything. And I mean, isn't that what happens to crotchety old people? Except that I'm not crotchety, I'm not old. It's like the lay of the land today. And even the young whippersnappers That one's for you, Nick. Don't call us 40-somethings old anymore. Us young whippersnappers. I'm a young whippersnapper. And we're all calling bullshit on this, and we should be. Don't let them intimidate and throw cloud apps. I mean, smart devices, there's no modicum of privacy on a smart device, so get over it. But I'm going to tell you what, you put a cloud sync app on your phone, which I think is a great idea, honestly, seeing all the stuff that's going on. But just know all your nudie selfies are going to the cloud, too, for the NSA. And to be hacked by, quote-unquote, anonymous and posted online. Just know that. And actually, I'm thinking about this. It's been so apparent over the last couple weeks. I've had 2 or 3 pretty well-publicized cases that, lo and behold, the victim or the witness was able to recover footage because of a cloud app. Did you notice that? And in the stories, it was made very obvious it was the cloud app that allowed them to recover these files. Now, let's back up to a few months ago. I mean, honestly, this shit's making me so paranoid because think about it. Are they playing a psyop now on all the shit that I'm saying? Think about it. Go a few months back, and we were playing video clips, and we were listening to the mantras of what they kept telling us. And everyone should move to the cloud. 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 And all these clouds are being run by all these big corporations that have now been infiltrated by the feds who are surveilling everything. We all got to move to the cloud. And I mean, my friend just dropped me a thing the other day. HP is developing this new entire computer architecture that is going to be highly interesting. It's way more similar to a phone than it is to a PC, where all of your processing, your memory, your video, everything is going to be, and your storage, mind you, is all going to be done on the same chip. And it's all going to be some sort of solid-state device, so there won't be hard drives anymore, and separate memory chips, and separate video cards. It's all going to be one super-powered solid-state chip, which makes a lot of sense. Be very low power. It would be very cheap to make at some point here once production kicks up. It's going to be way stable. You don't have to worry about hard drives and plates crashing or anything. But on the other hand, think about it. If your end user device, your access device, gets smaller and smaller, your applications, your storage, your data, your photos, your videos, everything's going to be saved off-site to the cloud, which then is easy and open pickings for any Fed who wants to dig through any shit you've done. Period. They always sold it to the IT admins. Easy administration. All your applications now can be administered in the cloud. All your end user data can be administered in the cloud. They were trying to sell. Oh my God, we're going back to like late 90s. They had tried again to revive the dumb end user terminal systems on the network. We started way back when with the green screens, and then token ring networks and ArcNet and that stuff all came into play, and people were like, look we can all print on one printer for 75,000 people. So networks got big. We can all share one internet connection. We don't need 75,000 modems. How cool. That was the big push to get networking. And then it was like, look, we can run our phone network over the same wiring and devices that we're running our data network. Wow. Huge cost savings. Once you get rid of the whole phone network, you can get rid of the whole phone staff too. All those specialized telecom people who are now dinosaurs and don't have jobs anymore. And that happens. Well, now they're going to get rid of the PC, the access device, because it doesn't need to be complicated anymore. Let us in the cloud, us people with big brains, worry about the cloud, and we'll make sure it works for you. Don't worry, dumb end user. I see it. I see this very clearly. This is what they are doing. So, Anyway, let's back up the truck. So what I'm saying here about, yes, make sure you save all of your interactions with police to the cloud. It may be a double-edged sword. They want us to feel safe and secure by the cloud. The cloud is not secure. Anything you put on the cloud, consider to be public. Anything that connects to a PC that has some sort of Dropbox sync on it, which I have. I've been using Dropbox, I would say since at least the early 2000s. Oh, I could distinctly remember 2004. That's where all of my corporate assets that I've been working on, all the logos and everything, that was like my big backup corporate-wide, was on the cloud. And I could access it on any PC or any device that I had. That's why I made it nice and easy and simple. Anyway, all right, I really kind of got detoured there. So I was talking about this witness number 40 in the Brown case, and she was like half cracked apparently. And now there's even doubt that this one witness who said that she saw everything that Brown did maybe kind of made it up. Here, I'm going to drop that. I don't know, you guys can read that story that was on Counter Current News. All right, I needed to finish now what my line of thinking was. Let's get back to where we were. Oh, yes, I know what I wanted to do. So I had done a story. We're going to get back to our rights. And what the woman from the Resident was talking about in regards to the Illinois privacy law that apparently, or bill, that apparently will make recording conversations that they consider to be expecting a modicum of privacy with public officials. Like, I don't even see how that's possible. If you're speaking to a public official, I would think that none of that is private. But there was a Supreme Court decision that was ruled on Monday that goes along those same lines, and I wanted to bring this to your attention because it really kind of got me how this whole thing was worded, and I think they're going to use this against us. I mean, it was something that wasn't really noticed, and this was another story I did on Anti-Media, and it was not one that got like 50,000 views and 10,000 likes. I got 19 shares and 23 likes, so apparently nobody saw the importance of the story. But I'm going to tell you, this is one of those little keys that are going to open up lots more bullshit for us. All right, the document was titled Stops and Searches by Cops with, quote, mistaken understanding, unquote, of the law ruled constitutional by the Supreme Court. This case was titled Heinen versus North Carolina. Story was from December 16th, so 2 days ago. All my stories, I start with the assault continues, comma, this time against. So, I don't know, it at least gets me moving. I start with that same line, and then I can keep writing. So, anytime you hear that, you'll know that was me. The assault continues, and this time against our Fourth Amendment rights. According to a Supreme Court decision handed out on Monday, December 15, 2014, on Heinen versus North Carolina, it has been ruled constitutional under the Fourth Amendment for an officer with a mistaken understanding of the law to still be within the law to stop and search you if that, quote, mistake of the law was reasonable and there was reasonable suspicion justifying the stop under the Fourth Amendment, unquote, huh? I decoded what that meant. In other words, a cop pulling you over for a suspicion of breaking a law that maybe really isn't a law, but he, quote, reasonably believes it to be law, is legal, and won't invalidate the admissibility of any evidence discovered or collected during a subsequent search, seizure, or arrest, even if no real law initially was broken to be detained. So much for those pesky little things called laws. Seriously, that's what that means, people. I spent a whole afternoon researching this one, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But yes, that's what it means. This ruling stems from a 2009 case. And again, then you're going to have people pointing to this going, well, the guy had drugs. Well, it doesn't matter if he had drugs, okay? What we're talking about, like the dude in Colorado had his shit kicked out of him, his face punched in, and his pregnant girlfriend tripped. He had drugs. That makes it justifiable? What? Garner was chokeholded because he was selling illegal cigarettes and not paying tax on it. Well, he deserved it, right? What? Oh, Brown stole Tipperillo cigarettes and had 30 other infractions in his history, so he deserved to get shot 15 times. What? No. Precedent, people. We are talking about precedent that is set. So today it might be them. Tomorrow it's going to be you looking the wrong way out of the corner of your eye. Or what was that law that was on the bill that was on the docket to be voted on in New York State? Making it a felony to be annoying to a cop in New York State. It all comes down to the interpretation, right? This is what we were talking about with the Illinois law. When we start giving these corrupt fuckers the leeway now to take law that used to once be set in precedent and allow them now to be interpreting, quote unquote, the law, even if they don't fully understand law. Well, this is what I thought what the law meant. And then enacting their beliefs on what the law is and acting upon that. That's what this Supreme Court ruling is now giving them the latitude to do. See that? See why this is so dangerous? This ruling, so the fact that we're going to get into the story and they found coke in this guy's car does not negate the damage that this ruling did. This ruling, because it could have been Twinkies, because you know what? Tomorrow Twinkies might be illegal. Well, at least a cop might think Twinkies might be illegal. This ruling and I'll tell you what, this dude did not get beaten up, and he's lucky. This ruling stems from a 2009 case where a car owned by Nicholas Hine was pulled over one morning outside of Dobson, North Carolina, by Sergeant Matt DeReese for a broken brake light. Now, I did tons of research into this, and what it really sounded like to me is that these boys were from out of state. And they were driving through the good state of North Carolina. And the cop's report actually says he began following a suspicious vehicle when he noticed as traffic slowed down that one of the brake lights were out and he pulled him over. Yeah, suspicious vehicle means out-of-state plates. But, okay, so Nicholas Hine was pulled over one morning outside of Dobson, North Carolina by Sergeant Mark DeReese for a broken brake light. But while speaking with the car's occupants, there were two guys in the car, DeReese became suspicious at conflicting answers provided as to their destination. The one dude said they were going to Kentucky, and the other dude said they were going to West Virginia or something. Oops. They should have probably gotten their story straight. Maybe they didn't think about it. So, because he received conflicting answers, he asked to search the vehicle. Know your rights, people. You do not admit guilt. I dug into this Fourth Amendment thing pretty deep. You do not admit guilt by refusing to allow them to search your car. Just know if you refuse to allow them to search your car, they will probably then try and go get a warrant. And if it's a state like North Carolina, they can do those roadside warrants. We saw that already in Georgia with the blood draws, right? The forced blood draw. If you won't get a DWI blow, they can just get one of those roadside warrants, drag you off, strap you down, put you in an execution fucking chair, and 5 cops holding you down as they forcibly draw blood. We saw that video back like 6 months ago. It was horrific. So anyway, the driver consented to a search What a dumbass. Because in the search, cocaine was found. Hine was arrested and charged with attempted drug trafficking. But this is where it gets interesting. During his trial, Heinen asked for the evidence discovered during the search to be withheld, and I have to say, good try, Mr. Heinen. Hein, whatever your name is, Hein. He asked for the evidence found during the search to be withheld because he stated that the search violated his protections under the Fourth Amendment against illegal search and seizure since it was found during a stop for which there was no technical illegality on the part of Mr. Hine per the official law to warrant the stop. Hine argued that Sergeant DeRisa legally pulled him over because of mistakenly believing that motor vehicles require 2 working brake lights in North Carolina, not, quote, a stop lamp, unquote, as the law officially reads, and as such, the resulting search and subsequent search of his vehicle and the evidence, which was the cocaine that was found, should not be admissible. Well, crotchety old Chief Justice Roberts, and I believe he's out of Buffalo, isn't he? Delivered the opinion of the court on December 15, 2014 in regards to this argument above. And it goes a little bit like this. In this case, an officer stopped a vehicle because one of its 2 brake lights was out, but a court later determined that a single working brake light was all that the law required. The question presented before the Supreme Court is whether or not such a mistake of law can nonetheless give rise to the reasonable suspicion necessary to uphold the seizure under the Fourth Amendment. We hold that it can. Because the officer's mistake about the brake light law was reasonable, the stop in this case is considered lawful under the Fourth Amendment. A Supreme Court decision over a technicality on a broken brake light does not sound like such a big deal, but my personal concerns were best echoed by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who was the only dissenting member of the Supreme Court on this ruling. This ruling was 8-1. She was the one. And her statement reads as follows, quote, "One wonders how a citizen seeking to be law-abiding and to structure his or her behavior to avoid these invasive, frightening, and humiliating encounters could do so. In addition to these human consequences, including those for communities and their relationships with police, permitting mistakes of law to justify seizures has the perverse effect of preventing or delaying clarification law. Under such an approach, courts need not interpret statutory language, but can simply instead decide whether an officer's interpretation was, quote unquote, reasonable. It's exactly what I was saying. So what? Our law that have been based upon precedent and statutes and documentation is now going to be tossed out a freaking window, and we're going to decide whether or not a cop's understanding and interpretation of the law, regardless if it was wrong, was reasonable? Isn't that kind of fucking subjective? Just like how is being annoying to a cop? How could that be a law? It's all subjective. Sotomayor's very last statement here is, this result is bad for citizens who need to know their rights and responsibilities. And it is also bad for police who would benefit from clear direction. I mean, isn't it an excuse with all these wrongdoing cases? Well, maybe they just didn't understand, or maybe they were mistaken, or maybe this is just bullshit. I'm going to drop that one into chat as well. Yes, I've been trying to whack out a story, and yesterday I did too. A day! Make sure you read those. If you enjoy my comments on the show, you'll enjoy them even more on paper. Except I don't swear on paper. Swearing only happens here. But do you see the connecting points? So though broken taillight over a cocaine case in North Carolina by some dude back last year, whenever it was, doesn't seem like that much of a big freaking deal, it kind of is. It was ruled upon. It's done. It happened on Monday. Cops now don't even need to know the law. They can just kind of be reasonable about what they think to be law and then try to enforce it. So, I don't know, tomorrow I could be recording a cop, and they could think that the law means that it's illegal to record a cop. And they could decide that because it's illegal to record the cop, they're going to take my phone. And they're going to search my car. And they're going to slam me up against the car. And they're going to search my pockets, too, because I must be doing something wrong if I want to be recording a cop. And they're going to search me, and they're going to do all kinds of shit until they try and find something. Maybe bounce my head off the pavement 6 times. And if they do find something, and then it goes to court, and then I say, but wait a minute, I was searched because they told me recording cops was illegal, and then they tried to take my phone, and then I resisted, and then a fight ensued. And they're going to go, well, tough shit, because guess what? The cop thought it was a law that it was illegal for you to be recording him. So anything that he found after in the search and seizure still stands because the Supreme Court has ruled under Hine versus North Carolina that a mistaken understanding of the law does not negate the seizures taken because the cop reasonably believed what you were doing was illegal. I know, it makes your head hurt, but this legal mumbo-jumbo bullshit is the way they get us every time. So what do you think of them apples? It really bothers me that this is all happening in front of our eyes. And I mean, I'm at a loss on how to stop it. I'm at a loss in what I could have done to have prevented that case from going through. And that case affects every single one of us in this country. And you better believe that if that law goes through, that bill in Illinois about the privacy law, which then could be construed to make it illegal to record cops, you better believe that if that gets passed, that they're going to try to be finding ways to pass that across the board. Cops are going to start crying the blues that, well, you know, there's an expectation of privacy when they're communicating with the suspect. Well, there's an expectation of privacy when, and they're going to keep adding things to that. I never got an update either. The story I did on Sunday about that 76-year-old having the crap tasered out of him. There actually was an update to that story, though, but I didn't get an update on the gentleman. I thought someone had told me that it was very possible that the gentleman, the 76-year-old gentleman who had gotten tased by the Texas cop in the parking lot of his place of work for an expired inspection, there was now an investigation open into that. Let me see, 76-year-old in Texas, because it'd be interesting just to kind of wrap up here. Oh, yes, he is being investigated 2 days ago. KTLA! Unless they're just picking up on this. Let's see. Sometimes these mainstream guys, it prompts outrage. Sure does. I was so pissed when I saw that story. He's now been placed on administrative leave, which we did know that. Vasquez said it appeared the officer was enjoying it. I'm putting the handcuffs. Put your hands on the back of your back, and I turn around. Oh, this is actually what he said when he's screaming at him. I'm putting the handcuffs. Put your hands on the back of your back, and I turn around, and he pulled out the taser, and then he shot me with it. He told the TV station, and he looked like he was enjoying doing that. The incident occurred in Victoria, Texas. Blah blah blah. Ulrich watched the whole thing. I think he was the one that was screaming at the guy that he was a goddamn stormtrooper. The cop also told him that the old dude fell down, and he didn't. He literally got tackled. But that wasn't any more info. I thought, though, I saw something. There was an update, and it actually might have even been a federal investigation now. I mean, the feds... Here's the thing. How are all of these springing up all over the country in this corrupt organization that's led by criminal Attorney General Eric Holder? Why wouldn't there just be a big stomp from up above? If I were the criminal in chief, I would take my heel and stomp it and go, stop, everybody. Every law enforcement agency in this country, stop! These police brutality cases are now hurting our ability to arrest all these corrupt citizens down there that we know every single one of them is doing something wrong. And they're all our enemy. But if we don't follow the rules, it's going to undermine our ability to arrest lots and lots of people and make tons of money in the military-industrial complex. So stop! Make sure you do it by the rule book. Because I don't want to have to come now and spend millions of more taxpayer dollars because I got to take over your police department too. And I told you, I did a story about that. There were like 13, 14, 15 police departments that were under some sort of federal oversight now by the Department of Justice. And the number just keeps climbing. Why is that? Why is criminal in chief not just putting the kibosh on this? You know why? Because I bet they got something up their sleeve. I think so. I think they got something up their sleeve. I haven't figured it out yet. It's still too early in the day. I'll think about it, though. I'll stew on it, and we'll see if I come up with something by tomorrow. Oh, people. So, I don't know. Let's wrap it up, though. I'm running out of time. I don't really know what I even feel like talking about for the last few minutes, but I think I hit on enough points. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, here, we got a good clip. While all this is going on, we actually get this clowno. Pops back out of the woodwork again, and we mentioned him earlier. Good old Dickie. Dickie. And Dickie comes out and says something as stupid as this on the tail of the CIA torture report. Maybe.
Despite global outrage following a report on the CIA's torture techniques, former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has defended the program. Cheney praised CIA operatives who ran the program as heroes who should be decorated. The report revealed that the CIA's interrogation of al-Qaeda suspects was far more brutal than previously acknowledged.
And so the CIA torturers were heroes, according to Dickie Cheney. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah! By rectally hydrating people, I guess that makes you a hero. And in the very end, here's what the end result is. I think that none of this is going to matter very soon because I really think that the big false flag they're going to pull globally and worldwide is this.
Cyber attacks against Sony, Target, Home Depot, JP Morgan Chase, Google, eBay, and virtually every business sector have allowed criminals and bad actors to steal millions of Americans' personal data credit card numbers, as well as corporate secrets.
Yes, all fucking orchestrated. All of it. You know it is. This all came after man at Napolitano, who was outgoing at the time, said, oh, cyber attacks, and outgoing Keith Alexander, NSA Cyber Patrol Chief, was leaving, going, oh, hackers, as Microsoft was just ramping up the global cooperation between Microsoft Cyber Patrol and law enforcement agencies worldwide. All of this came into play. Bullshit again, I say, but here it comes, because I think this is going to be the big one that they're going to pull.
Now imagine if similar cyber attacks made your lights go out or cut off your water supply. Imagine if the critical infrastructure we rely on every single day simply shut down. The threat is not only very real, it's inevitable.
It is only a matter of the when, not the if, that we are going to see something dramatic.
Admiral Michael Rogers,
and that's the new asshole that took over the NSA,
heads the NSA and Cyber Command.
We have seen individuals, groups inside critical U.S. infrastructure.
That's right. Power plants, banking systems, air traffic control, subways, all are vulnerable.
Years ago, what could have only been accomplished through a kinetic attack using missiles or bombs now can be done with a few keystrokes, where they could wipe out, again, a whole sector of our nation's electric grid, not just for...
And you better believe that they made sure that that was able to happen.
For days or weeks, but potentially for months.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, adversaries from China, Russia, and elsewhere are inside hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S. critical infrastructure computers.
Blame it on China and Russia, and let's normalize ties with Cuba.
It's not just about getting information, it seems, but it's also the ability to control those sectors.
This is something that we worry a lot about.
CNN was given rare access to the DHS's heavily protected cybersecurity center known as NKIC. It's run by the DHS Undersecretary Suzanne Spalding, who oversees teams of federal investigators, analysts, and private infrastructure experts scrutinizing real-time cyber breaches.
The thing that keeps me awake at night is knowing that there is the potential there for adversaries to get into those control systems, those systems that really run machinery, whether it's gates on dams or parts of the electric grid.
Isn't this an act of...
All right, guys. Yeah, and she's going to say an act of war.
War?
Well, that's the $1 million.
And it is. They already declared an act of war to launch a cyber attack. So, all right, guys, time is up. Mr. Kevin Blanche is up next live, so make sure you stick around. Then it's Libby Haleve, Mr. John Stokes, Mr. Jack Blood, Dr. Simon's replay at 5 p.m., and then Chuck Ocelli live at 6. Behind the Woodshed with Hal Anthony following that live, Drew and Chuck at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then we have SM Gibson and Diedrich on at 11. So make sure everyone sticks around today. Have a happy Thursday. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Everybody take care.